Hello everyone, and welcome to Network Labs. Today in this video, I will show how to configure a VLAN or VLANs in a Cisco switch. In this lab, we will configure and simulate the different types and applications of VLAN using a Cisco switch. Returning to the diagram, let's begin by examining switch 1. If we check the default VLAN configuration, we can see that all interfaces are assigned to VLAN 1. If we connect PC1 and PC2 and more host devices to the other interfaces, it is expected that they can reach each other. Open both PC1 and PC2 and conduct ping testing. By issuing the command show MAC address table, we can see that both the hosts are installed dynamically. Both hosts can reach each other by default without any additional configuration on the switch. Now, if we enable a link between switch 1 and switch 3, all the hosts should be able to ping each other also. Similar result to the hosts connected in switch 3. Now let us create a VLAN in switch 1. Go to Configuration Mode. Type VLAN followed by the VLAN ID. The VLAN range is from 1 to 4094, but not all is usable. It is good practice to not use VLAN 1, which is the default, and 1002 to 1005 are assigned automatically. Extended VLAN range is from 1006 to 4094. In this lab, create our first VLAN, which is 500. It is optional, but giving a VLAN name is a good practice. VLAN 500 is now created and displayed in the file. We can see that no interface is assigned on it yet. Next, configure switch port in switch 1, starting with access mode. Here, the interfaces facing PC1 and PC2 must be assigned to VLAN 500. Let us set a description to both interfaces and verify the default configuration. Enter the interface configuration mode starting in Gigabit Ethernet 02. Type the command switch port mode access. Then assign the interface to the specific VLAN by typing the command switch port access VLAN 500. Repeat similar configuration to interface Gigabit Ethernet 03. Both interfaces facing PC1 and PC2 are now assigned to VLAN 500 from default VLAN 1. To display the status of a specific VLAN, issue the command show VLAN ID followed by the VLAN number. To display the statistics of a specific interface, issue the command show interfaces followed by the interface port, then switch port. In our example, interface Gigabit Ethernet 0/2 is in access mode and assigned to VLAN 500. Go to PC1 and PC2 and test the connectivity. Both hosts can now reach each other via VLAN 500. Both the MAC addresses of each host are installed in the table of switch 1. That is all for access mode. Let us proceed with the next interface mode, which is trunk mode. A trunk is used when we need to pass different VLANs between switches. It also separates traffic between VLANs. Let us modify the diagram and enable a link between switch 1 and switch 3. Here, PC1 and PC4 belong to VLAN 500, while PC2 and PC3 belong to VLAN 501. The links from switch 1 and switch 3 to the host are in access mode. The link between them is in trunk mode. For our task, each host connected to switch 1 should be able to reach the host connected to switch 3 in the same VLAN only and vice versa. For the traffic in each VLAN to be separated, a protocol is needed. We will be using the most common and standard trunking protocol, which is 802.1q. Let us proceed with the configuration. First, let us create VLAN 501 in switch 1 and both VLANs in switch 3. Next, assign the host interfaces to their respective VLAN. In switch 1, the port facing PC1 retains to interface Gigabit Ethernet 02 via VLAN 500, while Gigabit Ethernet 03 via VLAN 501 for PC2. In switch 3, create both VLANs 500 and 501. Assign interface Gigabit Ethernet 02 to VLAN 501 for PC3. While Gigabit Ethernet 03 to VLAN 500 for PC4. The next step is to create a trunk between the two switches. Technically, the interfaces between the two switches can also be in access mode right now because I only have a single VLAN. To configure a trunk, enter the interface configuration mode. Enter the command, switch port mode trunk. An error prompts. We need to change the encapsulation type before we can apply trunk mode. Depending on the switch model, this error might not occur. Issue the command switch port trunk encapsulation, followed by the type. Here, the two options are .1Q and ISL. By default, the mode is Negotiate. We'll use the standard mode, which is .1Q. The interface is now in trunk mode. Next, type the command switch port trunk allowed VLAN followed by the VLAN ID. We start with VLAN 500. To add new VLAN on the trunk, append the word Add. In Cisco switches, this is very important. Failing to do so will erase the existing VLANs. Other options can be used depending on the requirement, like remove, allow all, accept or no VLAN at all. Let us add VLAN 501 in the trunk interface. Do similar configuration on the interface of switch 3 facing switch 1, which is Gigabit Ethernet 0/0. Then, change the trunk encapsulation type to .1Q. Set the interface to trunk mode. And tag VLAN 500 and 501. Trunk is now created on the link between switch 1 and switch 3. Let us conduct some verification commands before we proceed with the end-to-end connectivity testing. Both VLANs are now carried over the trunk from one switch to another. Both VLANs are now assigned to the trunk interface and to the link of their respective access host. Both PC1 and PC4 can reach each other via VLAN 500. Now, their MAC addresses are also installed dynamically both on the trunk and access interfaces. The same status in switch 3's trunk and access interfaces. Both PC2 and PC3 can also reach each other via VLAN 501. Their MAC addresses are also installed both in switch 1 and switch 3 in trunk and access interfaces. Now let us configure another VLAN for the management. Use VLAN 503. Currently in switch 1, VLAN 1 is used by default for the management. It is a good practice to separate the VLAN for management from other traffic or services. Remove the IP address assigned to VLAN 1. Then conduct a continuous ping to the management IP address. Create VLAN 503 in switch 1. Then assign the interface facing the management network to VLAN 503 in access mode. Assign the management IP address of switch 1 to interface VLAN 503. Enable the interface. Switch 1's management IP address is now reachable via VLAN 503. Open another continuous ping for switch 3. Add the new VLAN to the trunk interface facing switch 3. In switch 3, create VLAN 503. Then tag to the trunk interface facing switch 1. Create interface VLAN 503. Assign the IP address provided. Upon enabling the VLAN interface, switch 3 is now reachable. One useful command to use is show interface trunk to see if an interface is in trunk mode, the encapsulation type, the native VLAN and the VLANs allowed on the trunk. In this lab, we have successfully configured VLAN and the switch port mode, which are access and trunk. We will continue VLAN configuration in the next video. I hope that this is informative to you, and thank you for watching.